Look, I see mansions in the kingdom. I see hunters slaying demons. I see fire on this earth coming down like Hiroshima. I see prophets rising up, prophesying scriptures cut. I see Christ, he coming back, and he black, he look like us. I see it, I see it, I see it, I see it.
We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a non-violent Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus 5:1.
Hey, shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ, bless Israel. Welcome to another edition. Thursday night, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern, Precept upon Precept. We are your host. I'm Captain Shem.
Officer Matthew.
Officer Micah.
Officer Iran.
So without further ado, like we always start the show, first of all, let me take a step back. Please take the time, subscribe to our YouTube page, hit the bell notification, share, and comment. And in the commentary, make comments, and if you have suggestions, and you can also call in on the Zoom link. Is that correct, Akeem? They could call in? Okay, y'all could call in Zoom. So all praise the Lord. Check the screen out. So with that, we're going to, Officer Micah is going to do the Watchman report. Take it away.
Hey, shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Happy Thursday evening. All right, without further ado, let's get to the report. Police, Nashville shooter fired indiscriminately at victims. So let's keep our family in Nashville in prayers. The Most High is turning things up. Next article, please. That was the Transformer, yes, sir. Putin ally says Russia has weapons to destroy U.S. if its existence is threatened. This dude ain't playing. They trying to bring Trump on charges. Putin loading up. Hey, getting real out here, y'all. Keep the commandments. Next article. California Teacher of the Year faces 15 charges for inappropriate relationship with 13-year-old student. Hey, homeschool. If you watching Patient Saints Radio, they have a article. Well, no, I'm sorry, a commercial about homeschooling. Hey, we got to take heed in these last days, y'all. Next article. Basic training without yelling. Army recruit gets second chance. You can't yell at soldiers. So, I guess, winning them hearts and minds. And this concludes the Watchman Report.
Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Hey, welcome back, welcome back. So if we could pull up the thumbnail, Officer Ren, just give me 1 sec. If we could pull up the thumbnail, I want to make a point about this thumbnail, and then I'm going to read multiple definitions of the word anti-Semitism or being anti-Semitic, because we're going to explain it tonight for everyone to understand, all right? Because there's a misunderstanding in the world when the world, I'm talking about the entire planet Earth, that definition of world, and the entire world about what does it mean to be anti-Semitic. And you're going to get an informative, non-emotional understanding, okay, based upon history, based upon the rewriting of history. So let's show the thumbnail, okay? So let me just show you how this is not anti-Semitic. I want first and foremost, now, when you look at the, there's an acronym, okay? And yes, we have college educations. There's an acronym, ADL, which stands for Anti-Defamation League. It was started over, I guess, apparently 110 years ago. We went over it in the show before. There's also the Southern Poverty Law Center, which those are supposed to be the scales of justice to the left. We're going to bring out how that they have been unjust, okay? So the SPLC is also called the Southern Poverty Center. Then you have the ADL, and then there's a black bird that's on a perch with this C. It's kind of clever the way they did it. It's called the Canary mission. Now, what you see here, okay, this is just to be very clear, because we know that we have organizations watching us who claim that we have already been anti-Semitic by this particular, and it's not true. What you see here, it says lies. These are the wording. Lies, look at the white font. Lies, fabrications, and deceptions. It should be deceptive tools of the devil. So we apologize. It should not be deception. It should be deceptive tools of that. Now, the word devil means a deceiver. So when we say that these are images of, there's not one particular man we're trying to perpetrate. These are images of Jewish men, and many times they don't like to be referred to as Jews, and although it's changed recently, we're going to refer to them as Jewish men, okay? Because it is Jewish men's custom to wear hats like that. It is Jewish men's customs to wear these long curls that come down, and they also have fringes that are more of a string style, right? I'm not joking around nothing when I'm telling y'all. And these are Jewish customs. They are not Israelite customs. And so I want to be very clear. So this is not anti-Semitic. This is what, okay, he might have a look on him like he's talking on the phone, but these are the customs of Jewish people, okay? We don't have any hatred towards Jewish people at all. We're just pointing out that they are the Jewish people. They've been the Jewish people for many, 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 many hundreds of years, and that we are the 12 tribes of Israel. And our customs are different than theirs, okay? So I want to open up by saying that. Give me the definitions of anti-Semitic. So we're going to prove to you tonight about these three organizations that they are deceivers. They are liars, and we're going to prove it, okay? So let's start first with different definitions. I want to start with the ones in order. So if you could read that, Officer Iran.
Anti-Semitism, hostility to or prejudice against Jewish people.
So this is from the, is it Oxford? Yes, Oxford. So it's saying hostility to or prejudice against Jewish people. Now, that's the definition of anti-Semitism of modern, right? So if they're saying it's hostility or prejudice against Jewish people, that's talking about the people we just put up, right? So we're going to assume for the purpose of this conversation, it's talking about Jewish people. Okay. Number one, we don't have the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel. We often refer to ourselves as the authentic Jews because we are not Jewish. We are the real Jews, and they are Jewish. And there's no anger in my voice. We don't have hostility towards Jewish people. What we don't like is when they lie on the Israelites. We don't have prejudice against Jewish people. We don't prejudge them. We tell facts about them, okay? So that's one definition of anti-Semitism. So when you hear that term in the media, they're saying it's hostility or prejudice against Jewish people, okay? Let's get another definition.
Anti-Semitism, dictionary.com. Discrimination against or prejudice or hostility towards Jews.
So discrimination against or prejudice or hostility towards Jews. Now, so when you hear the phrase Jewish, sometimes they also in their circles refer to themselves as, they might say, I'm a Hasidic Jew, or one Jew might be an Armenian Jew. They might be a Sephardic Jew, but they are referred to and labeled as Jewish, okay? So this is, in order to discriminate against Jewish people, you would have to have the power to do so, okay? And for example, if I have 10 M&Ms on a table, and I have 4 red ones and 3 blue ones and 1 yellow one, I can discriminate by taking one out of the batch. I identified, I discriminated. Discrimination does not always mean if you have a good discriminating eye, you can tell the difference between certain colors and you can pick certain things out. So that's what they're also saying. Discrimination against prejudice, against hostility towards Jews. Let's look at another definition. I'm going to build something. Okay. That's basically, okay, read it again.
Merriam-Webster, anti-Semitism. Hostility towards or discrimination against Jews as a religious, ethnic, or racial group.
Now, here's where I want to pose the question. And because we may have other organizations watching the show. I have an open-ended question for everybody that's watching the show, and we're coming from a perspective of we want to invite you into the conversation. My question is this. If you're saying that it's hostility or discrimination against the Jews as a religious, ethnic, or racial group, my follow-up question to that is as follows. How are you saying that, let me take a step back. Are you saying that you're the 12 tribes of Israel who stem from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and fit the curses of Deuteronomy 28 and you were sold into slavery? Are you saying that you're the Israelites? Or are you saying that you're Jewish, as in you were converted from the time of the Herodian dynasty, if that's the claim you're doing? Because, I can understand Jewish people have been hostility towards them. And Jewish people did go through the Holocaust, which there were several million of y'all that were done wrong, and that's not right, right? But my question is, are you the Israelites that were put through the curses of God and were scattered throughout the earth on slave ships, or are you the Jewish people that goes back to the line of the Herodian dynasty? That's my open-ended question to you. Okay, so I want to make it understand it. Now, look up the word Shem and Semite, and there's a chart. I didn't post it. There's a chart that goes with the line of Shem. So, Semitic, if you take an H and you insert it in between S and EM, Semitic also means Shem, and Bishop Nathaniel has done a very, very good job of going over this. Do we have that chart? Okay. If we can pull the chart up. Yes, please. The definition. So, the line of Shem. That's, and by the way, if we're wrong in it doesn't mean Semitic doesn't mean from Shem, then where did you get the root word Sem from? Okay, so read that.
Shemitic, Semite.
Okay, so there's the proof. So this is from the Merriam-Webster. So Shemite is synonymous for Semite. Now we're going to just review real quick about the seed of Shem. Remember, Shem was a son of Noah. In the book of Genesis, you can read about the line from Shem. So now we want to look at the genealogy of Shem, because the anti-Semitism can be by them labeling us as the 12 tribes of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and the diaspora that has been scattered through slavery who are under the curses, to say that we're anti-Semitic because we're saying that Jewish people are converts, and they have had things happen to them. No one denies that. But they're not the 12 tribes of Israel, and we are not anti-Semitic or Shemitic because we are from the line of Shem. Now, what's the argument with that? I would like you to comment on that. Now, let's look at the line. Just a little. So we have Shem. To the far left, we have Elam. Then moving towards 3 o'clock to your right, we have Ashur. And that's where the Turks and East Indians. Now, if you look, and then you have all the way to the right, you have Aram. And you look at his line, and that stops there. You have Lud. But as you go far in the middle, you have Arphaxad, you have Shelah, Eber, and when Eber goes off, you have Joktan, and then all that line. But if you keep going from Eber to Peleg, to Ru, to Serug, to Nahor, to Terah, and now when you get down to the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob became the 12 tribes of Israel, right? And then through the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, you have the Edomites, who today are Caucasians, whether they be considered to be German Caucasians, Dutch Caucasians, Brazilian Caucasians, Mexican Caucasians. They could be Jewish Caucasians, okay? So what we're saying is that the bulk of Jewish people are Edomites. As a result of that, now there are some Persian Jewish people. They've converted to being Jewish, and their forefathers are Persian or East Indian. There are some Ishmaelites who are Arabs who claim to be Jewish. What we're saying is the bulk of the Jewish people that are represented in society through the label that they gave themselves are Caucasians, which by default, you're not the 12 tribes of Israel. You are from the Dukes of Edom. You are an Edomite. There's no hatred in that. Give me Romans chapter 12, verse 17. I wanted to establish that because we get portrayed as being a hate group and that we're anti-Semitic. We're not. We acknowledge that the things that happened to Jewish people, like the Holocaust, listen, and it's debatable. Let's say it's 6.5 million people, or it's 5.7. Hey, 1 million people or more is horrible. But here's the thing. There were hundreds of millions of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that were decimated, the land stolen, identity stolen, all the other things. Okay? So pretty clear there's a more of a horrible, terrible history found from the 12 tribes of Israel compared to the Dukes of Edom, who are the Jewish people. That's what we're talking about. That was an educational approach. For all those of you who say, all they do is they're ignorant. No, we're not. We're college educated. We're formally trained. We sat in history classes. We understand what we're saying. And we're not saying it from a position of, ooh, wait, no. You're lying and you're deceiving the people if you're not explaining that the 12 tribes of Israel, or the authentic Israelites, are different than Jewish people. We're different races. Let me say that again. Hold on, let me take a step back. The majority of Jewish people are Caucasian. There are Armenian Jews, there are Arabian Jews, Jewish people. There are Jewish people that are Asian people, right? Meaning Chinese, some of them, right? But the Israelites are a different line from y'all. I wanted to make very clear. Officer Matt?
Yes, going along that same vein, the fact that we're taking an educational approach to it, it has to be known that black people were also afflicted by the Holocaust. Black people were right there, starving, being put to death, economically and socially ostracized. This is in your history that you write. Many people of African descent were forced sterilized. They were put to death. We were right there in those concentration camps as well. So it's not a contest of who had it worse, because we did have it worse. But when you talk about that, you often neglect our negative part that we partook in that as well. Why is that? Why don't y'all ever bring up the black people that were right there in the Holocaust too?
Right. Give me Romans chapter 12, because it's very clear. And tonight we're going to prove that the organizations of the ADL, the SPLC, those are acronyms, and the Canary mission, that they slander and they unjustly, which that's what the devil, we get theatrical. You're the devil. But for example, if I say that George Bush was of East Indian background, his forefathers were from Syria or that part of the world, that would I'd be in the devil, because George Bush was a Caucasian president who was the son of George Bush, the first president. If I were to say Bruce Lee was an African prince, that's me being the devil. Bruce Lee was not of African descent. Bruce Lee is of Chinese descent, and he is known for that culture. So it's the same thing with Jesus Christ, with Moses, with Peter and Paul. These are the Israelites, and we have documentation, historical, anthropological proof, historical documents, records in stained glass windows that they were so-called black. So if you're saying that they look like Caesar Borgia, and you're a devil. You're deceiving the people, okay? And that's what we're going to prove tonight. So read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 17.
Come on.
Recompense to no man evil for evil.
So one thing we don't do, that's why we pull up the hate group. We don't do harm to any man. We don't recompense. Even when Alan Green's Greenblatt openly has lied on the Israelites. We would never make up a lie about Alan Greenblatt and make up a whole thing that's evil about. We wouldn't do that. That's not in our nature. It's in a devil's nature, a deceiver's nature, to make up lies and then try to push it to society and try to make it stick. That's what devils do. That's what deceivers do. Okay? So the thumbnail is not anti-Semitic at all. It's just you see and you don't really you haven't learned to critically think. You haven't learned critical thinking, and yet there's different steps of analysis. The highest form is synthesizing information. If you actually studied us, Israel United in Christ, you would find that we have great values and moral standards. We clean up communities. We help take young men and get them off alcohol, drugs. We help to mend marriages. We are doing many things in society that if you were truly synthesizing information, you would find out that we are an exceptional organized nation. But you don't do that because you have not learned truly and unobjectively to critically think and to synthesize information. There's an education class you should look at. Introduction to Education in every teacher program teaches you Bloom's taxonomy. It's different levels of intelligence. Knowledge, comprehensions, analysis. Okay, you've got evaluation. In order to evaluate and form an opinion, you have to understand all different sides. You can't just say, he did that. You didn't even examine it. Again, it goes back to you being a deceiver. A deceiver is one that's not going to tell both sides to the public openly. You're going to try to show one side, and you're going to try to sway public opinion. All right? So now read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 17.
Yes, sir.
Recompense no man evil for evil.
Right. And we're not going to make up lies about Jewish people. Okay? We're not going to do that. Just like you made up lies about us. We're going to tell the truth about you. That's not a lie. Read.
Provide things honest in the sight of all men.
And that's what we do. We provide things. I saw Bishop Nathaniel on the webpage. Pull up the webpage, IUIC. I saw today, Bishop. I want us to see it up there. So if you say that we're these people, that we're doing all these things wrong, look at this. If you pull up IsraelUnite.org, a lot of you have not even taken a look. Those of you who are now you're in our business, you haven't taken a look at what we do. You haven't even critically started to think about the organization you're smearing. So now, scroll down, scroll up. There's one with Bishop. Wait a minute. I thought I saw something. I don't want to. No. Can you come out and go back in? Because Bishop had something up where. Refresh it. I want to show something. I just saw it today. Maybe it's only on my phone then. It shows Bishop on the front. And it says a message. Bishop has a message up there. It shows, I think it was a shout out Tuesday when it says Bishop Nathaniel is calling. Come on, man. Don't make put on a spot. Come on, man. All right. So read that scripture.
Recompense to no man evil for evil.
Right. So we're not going to make up lies and smear Jonathan Green's splats. We're not going to do that. Just like these organizations are doing to our elder, okay? Not really getting him the opportunity or Israel United Christ the opportunity. Again, it goes back to not being able to critically think and not being able to analyze and evaluate and synthesize information. Read.
Provide things honest in the sight of all men.
So if you are the righteous, the ADL is so righteous, and you're so right in society. The Canary mission is so right in society. The SPLC is so, why wouldn't you provide all things decent? Why wouldn't you look into it objectively, like an objective reporter? That's what you're supposed to do. Okay, you're not. We know you're not even looking. Okay, now I'm glad this. So can we look at the screen? So, and I wanted it to come from the site. The leader of IUIC, first and foremost, Bishop is our senior bishop, but Christ is our leader. Christ is the general. Christ is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. On this earth, Bishop Nathaniel is the head bishop of IUIC, and I've known Bishop for many, many years, and I know him to be a morally sound. I know him to be a fair and stern man. I know him to be a man personally who has his family in order and has taught many hundreds, thousands of men directly and indirectly for us to obey the laws of land, to stay on our jobs, to stay with our wives, to stay off drugs, to stay off alcohol. I personally know this. So when you make lies about this man, I know you haven't even taken the time to look into what we do for even 20 minutes. Okay? So can we play that video?
Shalom. I'm Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ, and today I'd like to present a sit-down discussion with the Jewish community. There's a lot of controversy. There's much hatred that you have towards us. We're the prophets of the one true God. So what we'd like to do is sit down with several of your leading Jewish personalities. The rest of you just stand by. Sit back, move out the way. We want to sit down with Yitzhak Yosef, who called black people monkeys. He's number one.
לא הכל כושים מברכים, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים. איפה אתה תדע? אם אתה יודע, בפעם שאתה יודע, ואתה יצא להם בן קוף, יצא להם בן ככה.
Number two, we like to sit down with Jonathan Greenblatt of the Anti-Defamation League. You have so much to say on the Breakfast Club in alluding that we have shot and murdered people in New Jersey. We want to sit down and discuss with you to produce your cause.
And look, they're entitled to their beliefs until that justifies shooting Jewish people with pellet guns on Staten Island. Or like, this is December. 3 years ago, December 2019, 2 black Hebrew Israelites went into a kosher supermarket in Jersey City and killed 3 people because they said they weren't real Jews.
Wow.
Shot them cold dead in a kosher supermarket.
Prove what those lies you have said. We want to sit down with the SPLC, Margaret Huang and Beeson. You also pushed the lie that we have murdered people in New Jersey, so forth and so on. We want to sit down with APOC, Howard Core, and Lillian Pincus. Also, that latest group, the Canary Mission. We want to sit down with Adam Milstein and Howard D. Sterling.
When Tony asked about Canary Mission.
Who are the people involved with them?
It's him. It's him.
Adam Milstein.
Yeah, I don't know who he hired to oversee it. Adam Milstein. He's the guy who runs it.
We need to expose the fact that they're anti everything we believe in. We need to put them on the run.
So Adam Milstein, he funds the Israel Project and he's funding the Canary Mission website.
Yeah, which is interesting because it makes it seem as though we're a part of it, but we're not.
We'd like to sit down with all of you. If all, one for all and all for one, however you want to do it. But we will sit down with you. So don't say we're running from you, we're trying to evade you. No, we're not. Okay? Reach us, call us at 1-855-484-4842, extension 7023. Or by email, israel@israelunite.org. All right? The scriptures say, if at all possible, be at peace with all men. And that's what we endeavor to do. So, Jewish community, have a sit down with us. Let's have an open discussion publicly. All right? Shalom.
Hey, and that's the spirit because I didn't watch that whole thing. But I know one thing. The spirit shows us that we are to be, our bishop's telling you, if you're going to make statements, you have to be able to produce your cause. You're making public statements which they're proven to be lies. Why wouldn't you then, if you know you have nothing to hide, sit down with the same people you're accusing of falsely? Read that.
Verse 18. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you,
right,
live peaceably with all men.
So that's what Bishop Nathaniel is saying. Listen, let's have a sit down. Let's talk about it, right? Now, Get me Examine First and Judges. Sirach is at 11. All right. So, and this is when it goes back to, you know, in the kingdom of heaven, all nations are going to have to be subject to the 12 tribes of Israel. So we are the righteous of the earth. We do not smear and lie on people because that's against God's commandments. Just like we're not going to eat pork, that's against God's commandments. Well, those of us who are in the spirit, you know, some brothers are going to, we don't commit adultery because we understand there's punishments from God. So read, this is very important. This is your first step to doing things upright in public is you got to look at both sides of the story. You didn't learn, you learn that even in third grade. They teach you throughout elementary school that just you have to examine things. That's part of the critical thinking process. Okay, and that's and if you know how to critically think, you say, well, this guy is obviously stupid. We know how to critically. If you know how to critically think and you understand evaluation and synthesizing information, you would never smear somebody because you're too informed and you would want to do things decently, right? Because you have morals, you say. Read.
The book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 11 and verse 7.
Listen real good. Read.
Blame not before thou hast examined the truth.
So you said that 2 black Hebrew Israelites killed Jewish. First of all, murder is wrong. Okay, anybody that kills that's wrong. You're saying that 2 black Hebrew Israelites went in and killed Jewish people in cold blood? Well, where's your proof, first and foremost, that like Bishop said, that they're black Hebrew? Where's your proof? And you cannot speak things unless you have the truth and you have facts. You're spreading lies. Read on.
Blame not before thou hast examined the truth.
Which proves that you do not examine things. In examination, for example, if I am doing a biological experiment, and remember in 10th grade, 9th, 10th grade, we all had to dissect the frog. You can't just say, no, you had to, when you cut the frog open, and you had to look at all the parts, you had to be able to examine and differentiate between each part. That's a simple example. Before you get a board game, those are familiar with Monopoly, you had to examine the rules of the game before you played for the first time, and someone had to explain it to you. Then you had to examine, okay, so if I'm going to purchase this house to get a hotel, I'm going to look at if I did this. That's examining things. You have to examine things before. Read.
Understand first and then rebuke.
Read it again.
Blame not before thou hast examined the truth.
So you, number one, don't have the truth. You have not taken the time to examine, and you've already blamed without even allowing the other part to tell their side of the story. So already you're a deceiver, and you do not, or you perceive, or you could give off the impression you don't understand critical thinking, analysis, or how to even examine. Read on.
Understand first.
You got to get an understanding of what Israelite in Christ is about. We are about the following. Black, Hispanic, Native Americans, and the diaspora of 12 tribes of Israel who have been scattered through slavery of our own fault. It's our fault that we went into slavery. God used the enemies of the Israelites to inflict slavery upon us. That's why you had a whole plantation with, let's say, for example, 120 black men. And there might have been, say, let's go 24 Caucasians. If they were in the right spirit, you can't hold them. You can't hold them like that. God broke us down to the point where we were ruled over by people that shouldn't have been able to do that to us. It's our fault. We understand that, okay? But what we teach is that we as the 12 tribes of Israel, we're the real Jews. We are the ones that we can bring our writings back. We can bring our actual physical assignments to artifacts in Eastern Russia. Bear with me. There are still proof that our forefathers have artwork and stained glass windows that the real Jews were black. Okay? Read on.
Understand
Let me
first.
say this. We're not saying that you're not Jewish. You are Jewish. You are Jewish. Your forefathers converted many, 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 many generations ago. And you have held fast to the customs of the ancient Herodian dynasty. You have done that, okay? And there probably has been some things that have happened to you that were wrong. Well, there's been a whole lot of things that's happened to us the Israelites, because we are a wicked people. We broke God's laws, and that's why we live in ghettos. So that's why we suffer. Okay, and we have to blame ourselves. We understand that. Read on.
Understand first and then rebuke.
So obviously, you're rebuking. You don't have the truth. You never examined it. You don't understand. You got to learn how to critically think. That's the first lesson. Hey, Bishop Nathaniel put out a video. Okay, sit down with him. Sit down. Let us public forum where we have film crews, just like the bishop said. It couldn't said it any better. Now, let's get to the show. Real quick. Give me article number 1. Go ahead, Officer Matt.
I was just going to ask, did you want to show the proof that we examined about the man who...
Yes.
Because Greenblatt said that black Hebrew Israelites shot a Jewish father and son with pellet guns.
Yep.
Did you want to show that?
I do. And here's the thing. So it actually was a black man and a black woman, correct? That did that?
No, sir. That man right there. Him, right here.
Okay, so
he's
now,
the black Hebrew Israelite that did that.
So here's the thing. So I'm gonna take a step back. This is this is a Caucasian that with a pellet gun shot a Jewish father. I want to hold this for later.
Yes,
this
sir.
is good. But if you can pull up the article of a Jewish 2019 and about it was actually there happened to be black people and he was Islamic, I believe. And they went to a grocery store, and it was wrong. What happened? Listen. You know what's wrong too? That doesn't get reported. That's anti-Semitic. Is when black people kill other black people over a pair of sneakers. That's wrong too. It's wrong if an Arab kills an East. That's wrong too. Murder is wrong. But can we pull that up? Okay, now article number 1. So we're going to start first with article number 1. You have to learn to critically think. And really, it shows a lack of intelligence when you look at the layers of Israel United in Christ. How much that we really do, and how much profound change that we have made in people's lives. You're not objectively looking at a situation, and that's a sign of immaturity. You're very immature. Read.
Mark Thiessen. The Southern Poverty Law Center has lost all credibility.
Now, so we have multiple. Now we're going to get into the Southern Poverty Law Center. And we're going to read. This is from about 4 years ago, a little less than 4 years ago, well, almost 5 years ago. Let's go ahead and start reading this. Now, what we're not going to do is we're not going to read one article and just cast down SPLC. We're going to show you multiple things that with people that they're not making allegations. These are facts that we're going to report. Okay, read.
Washington. After years of smearing good people with false charges of bigotry, the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, has finally been held to account.
So wait a minute. So the statement is the SPLC has actually been has been smearing people. Smearing is character assassination. Is doing so. That's a bold claim.
It's defamation.
Right. Can we move the screen, the little box of us up there? Good people with false charges. So false charges. So let's see if they have a history of making false charges against people. Let's see if there's any proof. And let's scroll down.
A former Islamic radical named Majid Nawaz sued the center for including him in its bogus field guide to anti-Muslim extremists.
Now hold up. So this now we're not pro-Muslim extremists, but we definitely want to understand, is the SPLC guilty for this? If they are, there's got to be a judgment. Read on.
And this week, the SPLC agreed to pay him.
Stop. Did you read it again? Because
this week,
I have to really make sure I'm not throwing no false stuff at the SPLC like you do the IUIC. Okay, play.
And
read.
This week, the SPLC agreed to pay him.
Wait a minute. The Southern Poverty Law Center agreed to pay. When you agree to something, that means you have assigned guilt to your organization. Now, it's not $3,300. It's $3.375 million. That's a settlement. That's an out-of-court settlement, meaning you didn't want it to go to trial. You settled, meaning you realize these are your options. It's better to settle, right? Am I saying anything that's, and by the way, if you want to follow through, there are many, many articles to corroborate that this former Islamic radical named Majid Nawaz, forgive me if I pronounce it incorrectly, that's a judgment that was passed. You agreed to settle and issued a public apology. So there's already history of the SPLC smearing and, go back up, I want to see, please, at the top, please and thank you. False charges. False, meaning you are making stuff up that's not true. Okay? Let's scroll down. We got a whole lot. We got a whole lot for you. There you go, SPLC.
SPLC agreed to pay him a $3,370,000.
Next part, please. Oh, next. There you go.
The SPLC is a one-story organization.
Now stop. Do you know why it was a one-storied organization? You remember we did a show on it. SPLC was started by a black attorney. I believe it was Julian Bond. I think. Pull up Gabe on the side. SPLC origination. I believe it was one of the men was a black man, and they actually did help out black people when they did first start. All right. We're gonna go back to that and let's read on.
The SPLC is a one-story organization that did important work following civil rights lawsuits against the Ku Klux Klan in the 1970s.
And the reason why they filed civil rights lawsuits because the Ku Klux Klan has been murdering black people since post-Reconstruction. I mean, everyone knows that. So these are things that when they first started, they really were trying to help black people who are being domestically terrorized for decades upon decades. So the origins it seemed to be started with the right foundation. But then since then, you had that lawsuit, $3.3 million that they agreed and made a public apology that their organization brought up false reports, okay, and issued a public apology. Now, let's go back to the founders. So now, Julian Bond is a black man. When you go back, we did a show upon Julian Bond and Morris Dees and Joe Levin. They were founders. And Julian Bond was, in my opinion, was the soul of the SPLC. We did a show on that, right? And I'll let you look into that. So we can get back out. So we're going to jump real quick. We're going to go back here, and then we got a lot more to go over. We're going to do some reading tonight, y'all. Come on.
But it has become a caricature of itself, labeling virtually anyone who does not fall in line with its left-wing ideology an extremist or hate group.
Meaning that they're saying that they're politically motivated. For example, the right conservative movement is like Donald Trump. They are very Christian Bible Belt standard, not lending out a lot of money. They want to have conservative values. If you think about most of Republicans are conservative, right? So the SPLC attacks Caucasian conservatives like you wouldn't believe. So there's a history of them doing that, even also to Caucasians who don't agree with them, to former Islamic who don't agree with them, and also what they label us the black Hebrew Israelites, because we don't agree with them. We don't have their ideologies, okay? So they label us a hate group, okay? So scroll down.
Nawaz is a case in point. Since abandoning Islamic radicalism, he has advised 3 British prime ministers and created a Quillam Foundation to fight extremism. He is not anti-Muslim. He is a Muslim and has argued that Islam is a religion of peace.
So we are at Israel United in Christ. We are an organization that promotes peace. Why? Let me give you some examples now. We do things like community cleanup. We go to some of the worst neighborhoods, and we clean up the neighborhood. We literally clean up. We were out there. We had buckets. We did it safely. We picked up all needles and drug needles and made it. We had people coming from the neighbors saying, no one's cleaned this place up in years. Thank you so much. We feel better. We did that. We care about our people. We do things like march and parades to bring public awareness. We have March for Peace. Okay, we do things to help our community, and we love our people, and we don't condone violence is wrong. That's why we have to unfortunately read, we are not a hate group. We are not a hate group. But because we say things that don't agree with the agenda of the people that control media, and many of them in position to control media happen to be Jewish. That's a fact. It's not me being anti-Semitic according to your definition. Okay, according to your definition. Many of the media is controlled by people who are Jewish. That is a fact. You can't take a fact and now say that's anti-Semitic. For example, I have a red shirt on. That's a fact. You can't tell me it's blue. Many of the people that control the media are Jewish. Fact. Not anti-Semitic, according to your definition. Now, I gotta talk plain, because you have not learned to think critically at a higher level. And if you are, then you're really truly evil. Okay? Go to the next article. SPLC. Number 2. We're going to go right down the list. We're still dealing with SPLC. We've got proof that they have publicly acknowledged and paying a settlement of $3.375 million and made it a public apology. Now, come on.
SPLC denounced as thoroughly disgraced after labeling pro-life family organizations as hate groups.
So this is the CNA, the Catholic News Agency. So and we're just showing you that even now the Catholic as a whole is a Caucasian-based religion, a form of Christianity, right? And they're saying that if you say you're pro-life, meaning you are against abortion, they're labeling people that are against abortion as hate groups. So it's not just when they label us Black Hebrew Israelites and make lies about it. They do that. They've been doing that for years to other organizations, because their agenda is that women should have a choice to get an abortion up until what? It's like 8-9 months now, and they believe that that's okay. Well, and we don't believe it's okay. We believe it's murder. This agency is showing that the SPLC is going against other Catholic organizations and labeling them as a hate group when they're just saying we believe that babies should have a chance at life.
So that goes against what Greenblatt said. I don't care about your belief system. I care about what happens when violence is inflicted. So this family organization, in their belief, says, no, I don't think that that's right. They didn't go out and murder people that had abortions. They didn't attack anybody that had an abortion. They just said, according to their belief, that we don't agree with that, and now they're deemed a hate group.
Right, and they're actually trying to stop murder, because a child that has at 6-7 months in the mother's womb, they can respond to classical music. They can respond to certain things. They have feelings. They can feel pain. They have these things that make them their living. And so these organizations are trying to stop the murder of this life that has not been exposed to the environment yet. They're still in the mother's womb or with is it embryonic fluid? I forget how they pronounce that. Yes. So let's go ahead and read on.
Critics of the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, says the organization has become extreme and thoroughly disgraced after the center released its 2020 census of hate groups, which include numerous pro-life and family organizations. Since 1990, the SPLC has issued an annual list of hate groups, listing organizations such as the Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis. More recently, however, it has also included pro-life and pro-traditional marriage Christian organizations as anti-LGBT hate groups.
So remember when we showed you a picture of Julian Bond, the SPLC, please don't scroll down. Please don't. The SPLC started off with a black man named Julian Bond, and they were standing up against the KKK because of the terrorism that black Americans have faced in this country since 400 years. So now, in the 90s, it started to change. So, for example, if we say that marriage is honorable between a man and a woman because the Holy Bible teaches us, that's our belief. We live it and we believe it. So if I say that it is wrong for a woman to lay with a woman sexually and a man, that's based upon my belief out of the Bible. So because I have that belief and I'm expressing that through my belief, that makes me a hater. That makes me a hater. That makes this organization a hater because they want to stop the aborting or killing. Here's an example. I'm going to prove to you that it's demonic. Can a premature child that's born, a preemie, at 3-4 months, can they live? Yes, they can. We got brothers in the congregation who has had multiple premature births, and now they're children that are thriving. So they had life. And you're saying that they're a hate group because they want to stop the execution of children that have feelings physically, who can respond to things like classical music in the womb. All right? Scroll down. I'm being long-winded. We're going to get to the points. Read.
Many of these groups are well respected, such as the Ruth Institute.
Now, here's the thing. And you say many of these groups are well respected, and some people might disagree with them, right? It's like, we're not going to say anything about the Alliance Defending Freedom. I don't know enough about them to smear them. I wouldn't do that. And if they did, I would have to look into them, examine what they're about before I could come make an outlandish statement. And Israel United in Christ is a well-respected organized nation. Okay, with the things that we do for our community, the things that we do to try to uplift black and brown people, that we teach them to identify with their forefathers in the Bible and to love their woolly hair, to love the fact that they may have a wide nose and thicker lips, that their skin, whether it be dark brown, light brown, to love that. Okay, we've been taught through society, when you see examples like, God rest his soul, Michael Jackson and other brothers, who, because of their devaluing of them being so-called black, they have marred their skin. They've destroyed their facial features. And that's based upon they were taught that they were inferior. And they wanted to be like the mainstream. You see a lot of black people today, they dye their hair blonde. Okay, because ultimately they want to be accepted. It's not a fashion, they want to be accepted. Okay? Many Jamaican and West Indians will bleach their skin because they feel, and they'll even tell you, when I am lighter, I am treated better. In their mind, they are. Okay? Where do they learn that? Okay? Israel United in Christ, we're teaching people to come out of those negative thought patterns. Read.
Many of these groups are well respected, such as the Ruth Institute, Alliance Defending Freedom, ADF, Family Research Council, and several smaller Christian churches.
So I just wanted to show you from this article that it's not just, but they put the label on us, Black Hebrew Israelites. Well, here's the thing. Take a look at me. Y'all put on the screen. I'm about as bright as you can get. And you're saying I'm a black Hebrew Israelite? Well, really, that again, it goes back to y'all labeled, meaning Caucasians labeled themselves white. If we want to call color, you can call me a light beige Israelite. You want to put a label on me, you can call him a darker beige Israelite. You can call Officer Micah a chocolate-skinned Israelite. Because the only Hebrew words I know is shalom and a couple other ones. You got to do some research. Okay, we don't speak Hebrew. We were sold into our enemies' lands, and we speak our enemies' language. Okay, and we're different colors. So when you say black Hebrew Israelite, it's coming from a place of ignorance. It's coming from you don't know how to critically think. You've never actually examined our organizing. That you've never done that. Okay, and that's why Bishop said, "Look, sit down with us." And the reason why you're not going to sit down because you are going to have to bring forth lies, and they're going to be publicly dismantled. Because you can't stand on lies. Read. Where we at? Okay. Yes. Next article, please. Yep, we're going. I'll tell you one. So the next one is correcting ADLs. Okay, is this the ADL? I thought I had another SPLC. I think that's it. Okay, no, go to number 6, please. Number 6. So also. Look up the word, do me a favor, look up the word JD. JD, it's a law degree that you get. It's very rigorous. To become a lawyer, you have to go and take what's called an LSAT. It's a test to qualify you to become an attorney or a lawyer, and you have to get a JD. Type in JD law degree. So I want to bring something forth. JD law degree. Yep, you can. Hold that, but if you can get that, I know I'm throwing something at you. The next thing we're going to read about is one of the ADL's lawyers was caught doing something he shouldn't have been doing. So we're going to show you that this is a man that is highly educated, working for the SPLC, who is already settled for $3.375 million for falsely and made a public apology. And they have a track record of since about the 90s of lying and spreading falsities about people. So what is JD? Read that.
What does JD stand for in law? JD is an acronym that stands for Jewish Doctor's Degree or Doctor of Jurisprudence.
Jurisprudence. So to become an attorney or a lawyer, you get a JD, okay? A Juris Doctor degree or a Doctor of Jurisprudence. Read on.
It is a graduate degree that law students in the U.S. must earn before taking the bar examination.
So before you can take the bar, which is from what I've heard from, it is a hard examination, difficult and challenging, rigorous. You have to get a degree before you can take the bar examination. Okay, read.
And earn the right to share legal advice professionally.
The right to share the laws of this land, the legal, that's laws, professionally, okay, as an attorney or a lawyer. Now, get to article number 6. So we're bringing forth facts. We're not smearing the we're saying facts about the SPLC because we have examined them. Again, the SPLC, the Canary mission, and the ADL are lying. They're lying and they're spreading falsities. Okay? And we're proving that to you. Read.
Southern Poverty Law Center attorney charged with domestic terrorism was legally observed at the demonstration.
Okay, so he was a legal observer at a demonstration. Where was this demonstration? Well, it was actually outside of a police station. So if you're a lawyer and you know that you're going to do a legal demonstration, you know the laws and you know that what you should and shouldn't be doing because you've earned a JD and you passed the bar you passed the bar examination. Read.
A lawyer with the Southern Poverty Law Center who was accused of being one of 23 agitators during the Atlanta demonstration was actually a legal observer, according to the group and his defense lawyer.
So this is the defense. This is his defense telling it from his perspective, trying to defend him. Read on.
The lawyer, 28-year-old Thomas Jurgens, was arrested March 5th and charged with domestic terrorism, according to Fox News.
Okay, so he was arrested. Okay, read on.
Police say the peaceful protest turned violent when agitators dressed in black clothing threw large rocks, bricks, Molotov cocktails, and fireworks at police officers.
So here's the thing. They just don't, as soon as the first thing's thrown, they arrest everybody. So obviously it was going on for a while. So if you are a lawyer who has got a JD, you're 28 years old, you can critically think, the first thing that's thrown, you leave. So obviously, by default, he stuck around long enough for the police to arrest him and bring him into custody. Read.
The demonstration took place at the site of the at the site of the proposed police training center in Atlanta.
A proposed police training center. Read on.
The protesters opposed the destruction of the Woolani forest to build the training facility.
So there was going to be they were allegedly going to build a training facility, and there's a forest, and they want to protest against that, and I guess it turned out. So my point is that this guy is an attorney for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, scroll down a little bit. And they go on to say that it's the heavy hand of the law that put him, that's the reason why. It was all the cops' fault. That's what they're trying to say. Scroll down a little bit. No. Okay. Now, that's the perspective from his attorney. I just wanted to show you. Now, scroll back out, and there's another one about the same. It's a video of the guy. the same guy. It is it okay? Then play that. Let me see. It's the same one from number 7. Yeah, that's it. Number 7. So now this is from the police. See, now this what you do. So we heard from his defense attorney. Now we're going to look at from the perspective of law enforcement. That's thinking critically instead of just take. Well, maybe he just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Let's examine. I'm teaching y'all how to critically think instead of IUIC. They're a hate group. No, you're not. You're not examining what you. You're not examining. You're not even giving us the opportunity. Listen to what Bishop Nathaniel's telling you. Read.
Civil rights lawyer charged with domestic terrorism and attack on Georgia's Cop City.
Domestic terrorism is a serious charge. Okay? Terrorism domestically meaning international terrorism is if you do something outside the United States. Domestic is that you're in stateside, you're in California, you're in Georgia, and you're committing terrorist acts in the United States. That's what that means. Read on.
An employee at the SPLC was arrested while acting.
Wait, read it again.
An employee at the SPLC was arrested while acting.
Okay.
And identifying as a legal observer on behalf of the National Lawyers Guild. The employee is an experienced legal observer, and their arrest is not evidence of any crime, but of heavy-handed law.
Scroll down. That's the same thing, but now we're going to, this is him. This is him. Take a look at him. Again, this is public information. Scroll down. Now, let's start to read. Read this. A lawyer for the
Southern Poverty Law Center was arrested and charges
I'm sorry. Scroll down. Don't read that in quotations. We just read that. Now, right there. Okay, this is what I want. Thomas Webb.
Thomas Webb Jurens was amongst the list of 23 suspected domestic terrorists released by the Atlanta Police Department on Monday.
So in order to be a part of 23 suspected domestic, you have to be doing things for them to suspect you of being. He's not just walking down the street going to Walmart and he happened to be walking by there with groceries in his hand. He was a part of it. He was there. Read on.
Violence broke out in Atlanta on Sunday after protesters of a planned police training facility hurled bricks and Molotov cocktails at officers and set vehicles on fire.
So what they were doing, those are acts of terrorism. Throwing bricks in the direction of police, setting vehicles on fire, and throwing Molotov cocktails, which are basically a firebomb made of glass. Those are weapons. They're terrorizing the police. Okay, this guy's if you're a trained lawyer, you know that it's against the law to throw a brick at a policeman. So why weren't you saying, hey, you're breaking the law. Why are you throwing bricks at those cops? You're a peaceful protester. We're showing you the character, whether he's guilty or not, whether he's actually charged or convicted. The point is, this is the character of some of the people that work for the SPLC. Okay, we're showing you proof, not allegation. This is thing that actually happened. Read on.
Fox News Digital previously reviewed a LinkedIn account for one Thomas Jurens early on Monday, which stated he is a staff attorney for the Southern Poverty Law Center. That LinkedIn account has now apparently been removed.
Wait a minute. So why? Okay, if you're an attorney, you should be proud. Remember, you had to pass the Bar Association to be able to become an attorney to professionally give out legal advice. Why would you want people not to know that you're a lawyer? You work so hard to become it. Why would you do that if you are the staff attorney? Now the LinkedIn account has now apparently been removed. Well, could I just go in and remove his account? No. The administrator controlling that had to remove it. It's either SPLC did that or he did that. Interesting. Read on.
On March 5th, 2023, a group of violent agitators used the cover of a peaceful protest of the proposed Atlanta Public Safety Training Center to conduct a coordinated attack on construction equipment and police officers.
So this is the police's account. So it was a coordinated attack upon a peaceful protest. Well, read it again. I just butchered it. Read it again.
On March 5th, 2023, a group of violent agitators used the cover of a peaceful protest.
So what they did is they came like they were trying to peacefully put like a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? Now remember, why would you, if you're a law-abiding lawyer who has a JD, who passed the bar, why would you be associated with people that are committing domestic terrorism? Again, it shows you the character of the people at an administrative level, a staff attorney. This is their character. Read on.
Used the cover of a peaceful protest of a proposed as a proposed Atlanta Public Safety Training Center to conduct a coordinated attack.
To coordinate an attack, meaning it was pre-planned. It was a pre-planned attack. Why would you just arrest 23 people? Because they're attacking you. Because it was a coordinated domestic terrorism plot. That's what's going on. This is the police perspective. Go ahead.
Hey, Cap, just Law 101. That's called guilt by association.
Right.
You were there in the midst of all of that stuff. They had reasonable doubt or reasonable suspicion to think you were a part of it. It's not a heavy hand. It's looking like you were a part of it, so they arrested you. That's what it is.
Right, and he knows the law of guilt by association. As soon as they started to get rowdy, why wouldn't you be in that good legal mind who has to protect the fact that you're a staff attorney for the SPLC to get out of there? Matter of fact, go to the police. Listen, man, I'm not a part. I was here peacefully. I'm a lawyer. What they're doing is wrong. I don't want any part. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? Now, look what they were throwing. Look at the weaponry they were using. Read.
Attack on construction equipment and police officers. They changed into black clothing and entered the construction area.
So they didn't show up in black clothing. They changed into black clothing. Why? Because they want to protect their identity or conceal themselves. Read on.
And begin to throw large rocks.
Small rocks.
Large rocks.
They threw pebbles, brother.
Large rocks.
They threw a large rock is like a big boulder. You get hit with a large rock, that's like worse than getting hit with a brick. Read on.
Bricks.
They threw bricks too. Read on.
Molotov cocktails.
That is basically a firebomb, and the shrapnel will break when the glass breaks. It's horrible. Read on.
And fireworks at police officers.
Fireworks. An M80 is a quarter stick of dynamite. Now, I'm not saying they had an M80, but here's the point. This is the police scroll up to the top again. Again, I'm showing you that we're examining the SPLC from things that are fact. These things can be proven. This did happen. We can prove the fact that there was a settlement of $3.3 million for a false accusation that they agreed to pay and publicly apologize. And it's a lot more. This is how we can tell you that the character should be questioned of these people. Show us where our character needs to be questioned. Show us where we've done things that we broke the laws of. Show us where we're wrong. You won't even give us the opportunity. That's why Bishop Nathaniel, a man of wisdom, made that video. The door's open for you. Read on. Okay, actually, get out of here real quick. We're running out of time. Listen, we're going to take a break. We're going to go for another 45 minutes or so. Y'all stick around. We're going to get to the ADL, and we're going to get to the Canary mission. And we just want you to understand that you have to look at things objectively. You have to learn to examine first, then judge. And we're just showing you very, very clearly how they're not doing it. And we're showing you that you cannot believe things that the SPLC says. Look at the character that they have within their organization. It might have started off with the right intentions. It has gone downhill. Okay? Stick around. We come back. We skip it? All right. All right, well, look, do me a favor, Akim. Go to break, show a couple of things. We're going to come right back, all right? And we might even skip Laura back tonight. We'll take a break. We come right back, all right?
Hey, shalom, family. Most High in Christ bless. I'm here with Deacon Abiel.
That's right. We in the building.
Hey, listen. IUIC Austin is out here on 6th Street today for South by Southwest, bringing out the word. You see all manner of debauchery, all manner of sin going on. But guess what? The word of God is coming out.
Let's get lit. 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 Look alive. 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 Put your hands up in the sky if you're ready.
Man, we gon' step, that's how you gotta step.
Put your hands up in the sky if you're ready to rock. Up high if you're ready to rock. Represent for your tribe with your 12 up. 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 Let's get loud. Let's get loud. Let's get loud.
Action.
IUIC TV, where we are recreating the narrative for the black family. As the Bible says, where there's no vision, the people perish. The media have been vehicles that have conveyed destructive images of God's children, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Not only are we in the streets, but we are on the airwaves and networks, compelling our people to come back to their heritage. Tune in to IUIC TV.
Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome back, welcome back. Look, we're going to show you a couple of things about SPLC, and then we're going to go to the Canary mission, then the ADL. Do me a favor. Get me, I'm going to go back a couple of years. Get me number 9, and then we're going to jump to number 11. Do 11 first. It's about SPLC. Going back about 10 years ago, the SPLC was responsible for, according to this particular gentleman, for the shooting of some employees in an agency with the reports. They didn't agree with their agenda. And we're gonna let this is a Caucasian man, okay, telling and talking about the SPLC going back about 10 years ago. Okay, can we pull that up? So this is yes, is this number 11? Okay, let's go ahead and play that, please.
Jeremy Tedesco, Senior Counsel and Vice President of U.S. Advocacy and Administration with the Alliance Defending Freedom, joins us now with more. His organization was actually named a hate group by the SPLC.
Now, hold on.
Welcome, Jeremy.
We're going to
Thanks
use
for having me on.
This is another example. See, we have so many examples of the SPLC smearing other organizations, and guess what? We're objective. So we're not just going to show you them smearing black organizations. They smear Caucasian organizations. It's across the board, okay? If you don't agree with what they say, they label you a hate group and they go after you, okay? Now, here's a Caucasian man, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his organization and his experience with the SPLC. You have to learn to think objectively, and like Sirach said, examine first, then judge, right? Blame not before thou examine the truth. And that's something that the Jewish, through ADL, through the Canary mission, and also through the SPLC, which we're not saying they're all Jewish, but we're saying the SPLC is the Southern Poverty Law Center. They are not examining, they're not giving us the opportunity to actually tell our side. And this is what we're showing you. It's a lack of critical thinking, or just not allowing the truth to be told. I'm repeating myself now, but it's so basic. Read, play.
With the Alliance Defending Freedom joins us now with more. His organization was actually named a hate group by the SPLC. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me on.
What can you tell us about the scandal happening with the SPLC?
Well, today's SPLC is aggressively anti-Christian and more.
I like what he said. You know why? This man, because he, by that one statement, understands that the SPLC had the right intention when they started with Julian Bond, the soul that they had of that company, fighting against KKK, fighting against oppression for black people in America. He said today's SPLC is different. That's what he'll play on.
SPLC.
Well, today's SPLC is aggressively anti-Christian and morally bankrupt, both inside and out. We've seen that Morris Dees was fired, their founder. We just saw that Richard Cohen, their longtime president, resigned amidst allegations of race and gender discrimination within the organization. But it's not just that. They've been long understood to be a partisan progressive hit operation.
Pause. He said so much. He said they've long been a partisan meaning that they side with the political side, the Democratic left, they call it, right? So their intentions are politically based, Democratic to the left. So guess where their funding is coming from? The Democratic left. So of course they're going to be not objective when they report things. If the people that are behind it don't agree with what you push, like family values, and if you're against abortion, if you are against men with men and women, and just by you saying that you agree with heterosexual traditional marriage between men and women, now you're anti-LGBT. I honestly don't know the acronym. LGBTQ, I believe that's what it is. That's what he's going into. Read on, play on.
Long understood to be a partisan progressive hit operation. They basically spread lies and attack anybody, any group that disagrees with their far left agenda. And this has been...
So now, that's out of his mouth. Anybody that disagrees with their far left agenda, they attack. Now, we just proved they settled out of court for $3.375 million. We proved that their staff attorney took place in domestic terrorism. You got to understand what... This organization holds no weight, but yet still there are some agencies that actually still believe what they say. Y'all need to share this, that they are a smear organization. They're not upright. They are one-sided, and if they don't agree with what you say, whether it be conservative Christian values, whether it be the fact that you teach biblical principles, they will label you a hate group and put your organization's locations on a map on their website. Pure, it's evil, okay? Now, there's one more. Is it 11? Let me see 11. We're still in the SPLC. This is a man named Perkins. Here's another Caucasian this is about 10 years ago.
Let me be clear that Floyd Corkins was responsible for firing the shot yesterday that wounded one of our colleagues and our friend, Leo Johnson. But Corkins was given a license.
Pause. Corkins was a man that decided, because the SPLC put their organization as a hate group, this man went out and decided to shoot one of their employees. Now, these are not black people, but the SPLC, and he's going to go on to tell you, the SPLC should be held accountable for what happened to his colleague. Play on.
To shoot an unarmed man by organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center that have been reckless in labeling organizations hate groups because they disagree with them on public policy. And I believe the Southern Poverty Law Center should be held accountable for their reckless use of terminology that is leading to the intimidation and what the FBI here has categorized as an act of domestic terrorism.
Pause. Wait a minute. He just said that the FBI, Federal Bureau, they deemed what that man did as domestic terrorism. But we just saw an article where the SPLC's lawyer was arrested for domestic terrorism, for showing up and changing into black clothes and allegedly throwing bricks, large rocks, Molotov cocktails at heavy equipment in police. So let's think. You gotta put the things together. We're just showing you this. What he said. I didn't make that up. This is 10 years ago. Now, go to the next one real quick. We're gonna do one more SPLC. We're gonna move on. Now get the one with the black woman, number 12, and then we're gonna move on. Okay, number 12. This is the name of the article is after allegations of a toxic culture, the Southern Poverty Law Center tries to move forward. So this is from those of you who haven't heard of NPR. NPR is a very NPR is known as I guess you could say, a trustworthy source. This is from Debbie Elliott. Debbie Elliott appears to be a white woman, Caucasian woman. So she's writing this article. These are not black Hebrew Israelites, as you say, as trying to put the spin in it. We're objectively looking at this. Okay, we're examining things. Read. Now here goes this is an Israelite sister right here, whether she knows it or not. She has the depictions and characteristics of someone like Jesus Christ's mother, Deborah, as well as Judith, when you read in the Apocrypha. These are what Israelite women look like. Okay, play on, read on.
After allegations of a toxic workplace culture that discriminates against women and people of color, the Southern Poverty Law Center is trying to emerge and chart a way forward. Turmoil in the civil rights organization last month resulted in the firing of its famous founder and the resignations of its longtime president and legal director.
So those are facts. One was fired and one resigned. That's a fact. Well, let's read a little bit more.
Karen Bands Dunning, an African-American woman.
You know what's funny? What I realized, and I learned this from Bishop Yawasab, how to critically think a little bit more in depth, is why do they have to say Karen Baines Dunning, an African-American woman, when the two men listed above were both Caucasian? Why wouldn't they say the famous founder, a Caucasian American, or why wouldn't they say it about them? Because they want us to show you that, no, we brought in a black woman to look into this. They wanted us as the readers to know that. They didn't say the fact that the two people above that resigned were white people or Caucasian Americans. Read on.
Karen Bands Dunning, an African-American woman, was then appointed to run the organization as its interim president. She spoke publicly about the path forward this week for the first time with NPR. Founded in 1971, the SPLC is known for its work tracking and suing hate groups and for waging legal battles over issues like same-sex marriage, immigrant rights, and treatment of prisoners.
So the SPLC, and that's why the other man said, look, the early SPLC of yesteryear was not the same. And this is the point that they're making as well. Now they're going to go scroll down, go to her first order of business. We're just showing you pieces of it. Read.
Her first order of business is clarifying the scope of the problem.
So they brought in an African-American woman. They wanted to make it that point to look into the problems of the SPLC. So they're admitting that there are problems with the SPLC. What are the problems? Read on.
The shakeup revealed long-simmering complaints of alleged gender and radical discrimination.
Racial discrimination.
And racial discrimination and sexual harassment.
So these things were going on at the SPLC. Remember, their character is that they were falsely putting false labels on people, spreading lies, and they had to pay a lawsuit. They have their staff attorney taking place in domestic terrorism. Okay, read on.
Baines Dunning spent her first days on the job meeting with staff to hear their concerns, both at the group's headquarters in Montgomery, Alabama, and at a field office around the South. She would not talk about specific allegations citing personnel policies, but generally acknowledges there's work ahead.
So, meaning there are problems with discrimination, sexual harassment, and race issues. So the black woman who they showed a picture of her, and then they pointed out that she's an African American. When they pointed it out, so she's saying there are problems. So we just want to show you real quick that these things are going on within the SPLC. They should just take their hate list labeling down. They should just disannul the whole organization and issue public apologies. That's what they really need to do, okay? But they're very, very, very well funded. Okay, now, real quick, go to the Canary. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to pull up, remember that, Gabe, earlier when I told you before the show, I want you to pull up the screenshot. Show the screenshot, and I'm going to show you this another organization called the Canary Mission. And I'm going to make the statement, their number one priority is to smear Israel United in Christ. And I'm going to prove it, okay? Their objective right now is they say that, but their main objective is to bring down Israel United in Christ, okay? And without objectively looking into our organization or organized nation, they are taking reports of agencies like the SPLC, like the ADL, and they're running with falsehoods, okay? And they're smearing the character of a man that has those of us who know him to be a strong, morally standing individual citizen that has taught his congregation to fear God and keep his commandments and to try to do things to help black, brown, Puerto Rican, Dominicans that are scattered throughout the Israel. He has taught us these things, okay? Took what down? The thing you was asking me about. Okay. Now, so this is a screenshot, right? Is this a screenshot? Okay. Now, this is the Canary Mission. When you Google it, right, 16 million, you see it, you get it in less than half a second. Look at the Canary Mission, right? Canary Mission documents people and groups that promote hatred of the USA, Israel and Jews on North American college. So that is the first thing you see. Do me a favor. Click on that right there. Click that. Stop. So this is the first thing you get when you do the Canary Mission. And they said hatred. So now you're going to thinking that this man hates the United States of America? This man is a true patriot. This man has taught the Native Americans who were, this land was stolen from them, teaches that we are the real Americans. You got to understand that. So this right here is obviously the Canary Mission does not understand objective reporting. They've never looked into Israel United in Christ. They are basing it on sole false reports, and they're not doing any investigative journalism. They're running with lies. So now, let's go ahead and scroll down. So they didn't start. They didn't want you to see who are the black Hebrews or Israelites. Scroll down. They just start first with, go back up, please, if you would. As soon as you get there, the first thing you see is Bishop Nathaniel ben Israel. That they don't say anything about black Hebrew or Israelites. They want you to understand, and this is the reason why, because there is a fear of black people rising up, learning to stop smoking weed, stop bleaching their skin, being proud of who they are, connecting with the moral standards of the Bible, to stay with one woman, marry your wife, get off drugs, stop becoming babies, mothers, and they fear that. And that's what this man teaches. He teaches us to keep God's commandment, and that's a threat. Because the society profits off black people being in sin, black people being confused, us being ignorant of the things that we need to do as family units. And Bishop Nathaniel has taught us through God's commandments how to change that. I'm a living example of that. Okay? So this is why we know that their mission is bigger than just black Hebrew. They're after Israel United in Christ. That's exactly what's going on. Okay? Play the video.
Yeah, no, we support Hitler. Right. Because Hitler was killing your people, man. Hitler knew who the real Jews was. Right? Hitler wasn't oppressing my people.
Now, hold up. So real quick. So, and by the way, when you start to play the video, they're talking about Hitler and oppressing people. those are not men with Israel united in Christ. Those are the Israelites, but they show you Bishop Nathaniel, and then afterwards the audience who is ignorant of the fact will say, well, everything after must be associated with this man. Do you see the levels of deception and manipulation? So now this is actually us. We stood for the right, of Kyrie Irving. We were there in support of him as a black man in America, being able to speak the truth. That's what he was doing. The things that he was saying, biblical truths, we were there to support that because that black man was being oppressed, okay? And we showed up peacefully, and we were singing songs of unity, okay? Play.
The real Jews are back on the streets, and you so-called fake Jews who stole our identity are going to go into slavery.
So if you notice real quick, they also misspelled his name, and his name is not Nathaniel Ray. His name is Nathaniel Israel. That's his name, not Nathaniel Ray. It is Bishop Nathaniel. That part is correct. And by doing that and playing that music in the background and showing camps of other camps teaching, those were not IUIC men teaching. We don't come across like that. We come across as dealing with the commandments of God. Now, some of the things that they said, they're not untrue. Their delivery is a little bit rash, but you would think that while watching this, those men are under. That's not true. So they're manipulating media. Okay, play on.
Let me say this about the white people in Israel. They're the devil.
The devil is the same synagogue of Satan. Germans and the so-called Europeans.
Now hold up real quick. So what Bishop Nathaniel said is he's actually quoting scripture. So when you go into the book of Revelation, if you can get that, he's paraphrasing the scripture. He's personally attacking so-called Jewish or so-called Jew. He's not doing that. They fit, the Jewish man of today does fit Revelation chapter 2. Okay, we're going to read it. Can you read that?
The book of Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich.
That's talking about the 12 tribes of Israel.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
And that's how we started the show with the lies, and we talked about the devil, because the acts that Jewish people have done through the ADL, okay, and other organizations to smear Israel United in Christ proves that you're of the devil. It proves that you're a deceiver of the earth. You've deceived people through lies, okay? Play on.
Up. Okay, 6 million you said, right? 6 million Jews. They are the Edomites in the Bible. They're the devil.
So now they take, okay, so they take his past profession, which he was a police officer, okay? So, and obviously he didn't serve for 1 year. If he was such a problem, why wouldn't the NYPD let him go after year 1, year 2? Because he was a policeman that did his job. Okay, and now they're trying to say allegedly framed 2 innocent men. Allegedly. Where's the proof? Okay, again, and now because you pose that on your website, you're not even doing an investigation. You're putting that out. This is the court of public opinion. That's what they're trying to do, is try to put doubt in people's mind about Israel United in Christ. And they didn't even use the teaching from us. They started with other camps, then they segued it in it, and now they're showing Bishop. Read, play on.
The one is the devil the Bible speaks of. Let me teach it to you. I want you to see all these fake so-called rabbis from the Jewish community. You don't know what's going on and don't realize the demonic activity behind the scenes. So-called Jewish people. They're counterfeits, fakes, phonies, frauds. We're the Jews and you're not.
Now, let me say this. So again, they're taking segments of certain part. They didn't they didn't study the whole interview. All right. Now, real quick, we are the Jews of the Bible, aka the 12 tribes of Israel. We're not Jewish. y'all who say you are Jewish, you have different customs. We don't wear yarmulkes on it. That is your custom. Okay. There's certain things, the way you wear your fringes, that is your custom. Okay. Those are things that you do. The Israelites of the Bible, we don't do things that you do. Okay. So I want to be very clear. Get me there's another article on the Canary mission. There's one more. I just wanted to show you. Number 13, please. Check this out. All right, bear with us, bear with us. So we showed you the SPLC. We're showing you the Canary mission. And then we're going to show you the ADL, okay? Very clearly. 13, man, 1-3. It says Canary mission. Okay? Let's check this out. Stay with us, y'all. I know it's getting late. Now, I'm going to read this. Every person listening is accused of being racist. Canary Mission is a website that posts public profiles of students, including photos, slandering young people with false accusations of anti-Semitism. This is a video that's put together because what they do is they put professors up there, students up there. If they have any that goes against what is labeled as anti-Semitic, whether if you, for example, let's say, for example, you disagree with the way Palestinian Arabs are being treated in that land, you're anti-Semitic. Okay, well, the Palestinian people have been on the receiving end of oppressive behavior from Jewish Caucasians in Israel. Okay, you just watch, look at two different sides of the story. Play on.
Basically, it's digital spying and cyberbullying attempt at a modern-day McCarthy blacklist.
McCarthyite blacklist. So in other words, there's an old term when you hear the term, you're blacklisted, meaning that they want to. It's a form of cancel culture, meaning that if you're deemed to be that label, they'll try to get you fired from. If you're a professor, kicked out of school. If you're a student, so on and so forth. That's what the Canary mission objective is. And guess what? When you go to their website, when you Google the word it says 16 million, you get there in 0.47 seconds. The first thing that they show you is a picture of a video, and it says Bishop Nathaniel, showing you that they are personally trying to destroy the Israelites, in particular, Israel United in Christ. Okay? It is a smear campaign. That's exactly what's going on. Play on.
Israel uses the Canary mission list to ban students and academics from entering the country and intimidate young people who work for Palestinian human rights.
Now, and I don't know enough to speak with authority about Palestinian rights, but I know one thing. When you look into the history of Palestinian Arabs, there have been many instances of them being oppressed and going back and forth. And so if you are pro-Palestinian, you are labeled as anti-Semitic. You are labeled and put labels on you, and they try to get you so that you cannot study. You cannot study from abroad. You cannot do things like hold a position of a scholarly position of either being a tutor, being an adjunct professor, being a professor, so on and so forth. Play on.
They have worked very hard at remaining anonymous and to hide where funds come from.
So real quick, I just wanted to show you that in conjunction with that. Before we get to the ADL, Officer Matt posted something. Bishop Nathaniel showed this before. Actually, I think some of the deacons showed it as well. Get me now this is going to be coming from I believe a Jewish woman. And it is going to be article right after It says anti-Semitism trick. Now, this is from Democracy Now! And if actually, shout out to Captain Get a Lie who was able to forward this over. We want to show you that it's not us just saying this. It is people from the Jewish culture. They acknowledge this too. And we're going to show you firsthand, okay? Showing you that this is a tactic. It is a trick that they'll use to get their way. Let's let her say it.
Dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government. People here are called anti-Semitic. What is your...
When they say policies of the Israeli government, that's referring to and synonymous with Jewish people. Okay, just to be very clear. Play on.
Dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government. People here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe, somebody...
She used a pronoun. She said, she's admitting, okay, she's obviously admitting there's some wrong. She said, and she has a heavy accent, she said, well, it's a trick. We always use it, meaning she's done that in the past, and she's associated. She's actually doing something that is actually pretty. It's critically thinking. She's actually able to identify herself as being part of the problem, and maybe she doesn't do that anymore. Maybe she doesn't go around saying the anti-Semitic, but she's been around enough of Jewish people to realize that it's a trick. It's a tactic that they use. Play it again, please.
An Israeli Jew.
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then there are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money. And the ties between Israel and that.
When he said the organization is strong, what is she talking about? The organization is strong. Well, in order to be organized, there's a network. And we're not saying that Jewish people control all media outlets, but there's a significant percentage that control much of the media, much of the entertainment industry. Okay, we've showed you that before. She's coming out and saying that they're well-funded and they're well-organized. Let's play on.
American Jewish establishment are very strong, and they're strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay. They are talented people, and they have power, money, and
let me just stop real quick, because I met some Jewish people before. I met some. I went to college with some. And I'll say this. Some of them are not like labeling anti-Semitic. Some of them are actually, until she said there are talented people. And if they believe in the Torah, some of the laws in the Torah teach them not to lie. So some of them actually hold on to the value. Remember, they learned through, give me King Herod. Remember, they learned and studied under the 12 tribes of Israel. When we read about King Herod, they went to school with the Israelites, and they learned the laws of God, and they became converts, and hence they call themselves Jewish. So the Jewish people that actually are like this woman, who have maybe decided that it's wrong what's being done, they will not lie. And there's some Jewish people that I've met that will tell the truth. They'll even say, we're Jewish, our history stems back to ancient times, but we are not the real Israelite. They'll tell you that. Okay, and listen. You call yourself Jewish, and we're yarmulkes have different. That's you. Listen, that's you. We're the Israelites. We have a different culture than you. We're related to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, and that's something you got to learn. You got to allow that to come out. Okay, and if you don't, then at the end of the day, God's not going to let a lie stand. Play. Oh yeah. Okay.
Herod, surnamed the Great by Joseph Jacobs, Isaac Bordi.
Now, real quick, let's look at the top. Again, the JewishEncyclopedia.com, okay, an unedited full text of the 1906 Jewish Encyclopedia. And that's what we're referencing from. Play, read, sorry.
King of Judea, 40 to 4 BC, founder of the Herodian dynasty, born about 73 BC, son of Antipater.
So the point we want to get to is of Idumean origin. When you look it up, there's many classes. Idumean comes from Edom, okay, who is Esau. When you read about Esau today, when you read the prophecies of the book of Obadiah, when you read the prophecies of Ezekiel, Idumea is referring to the Caucasian race. The label of white people was given to them by them. White people was not we did not create the term white. We use the term white because it was created by you to separate yourselves from being black, meaning white is pure, white is clean, black is ugly, black is bad, black is dark, black is evil. Okay? Those labels were given to us. Okay? Where we at now? Thank you.
Other things, and their attitude is Israel, my country, right or wrong, the identification, and they are not ready to hear criticism.
Pause, you hear that? She said they're not ready to hear criticism. However, I will say this. There are some Jewish people who criticize the wrong morals that the Jewish people are doing. She's one of them saying, look, it's a trick that we use. It's wrong. Anytime you disagree with anything that criticize Israel or Jewish people, they bring up, we went to the whole Holocaust. Well, check this out. We can take criticism. Check this out. The reason why black people went into slavery, it's not your fault. It's our fault. We broke the commandments of God, and now we're serving out our sentence here. We're coming back. We're gathering our families together. We're putting off the sin. We're putting off the lies. We're getting ourselves together. Okay, we're doing the things that God commands us to do. And part of that is prophesy who we are. And if doing that is a problem, again, you have to think objectively. You got to learn to tell the truth. That's in the Torah. You got to tell the truth. You got to stop lying. You're lying. You're lying. You're not examining things. It's very clear. Very clear. That's what we're proving tonight. Play on this woman.
Very easy to blame people who criticize certain acts of the Israeli government as anti-Semitics and to bring up the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people, and that justify everything
so
we
pause
do
real quick. So I want you to objectively look at this. What about the sufferings of black people in America? What about the fact that when the edict was issued in 14, was it 53? I can't remember the exact year, when he basically declared war on the new world, that you could enslave anybody that didn't agree, that was not a so-called European Christian, okay? And then you justified slavery. For hundreds and hundreds of years, you ran sugar plantations, you ran banana plantations, indigo plantations, cotton plantations, where we worked for hundreds and hundreds of years with no compensation for our labor. You raped our mothers, you beat our fathers, you castrated our sons and daughters, our sons and our uncles and and they did. They actually sterilized our women as well. So that's the same as castration. All of that was done. And we got the right to tell that pain. Deuteronomy 28 tells of the things that have happened to us. And when we criticize you by saying, look, we are the Israelites, y'all Jewish, you throw anti-Semitism at us. But we're not anti-Semitic because we're from the seed of Shem. We're Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, the European Caucasian. And that's the difference. That's a fact, okay? And that criticism you can't take. But if you are of the Torah and you are of truth, we played Bishop Nathaniel's video. Sit down with Bishop Nathaniel. Let it be a public forum. Let's let the truth come out. Let's let the truth come out, and the lies will have to go away at that point. We're almost done, y'all. Get out of that real quick, or is that it on the lady? All right. Yes, get me. Hold up. Yes, so I want to go to the ADL real quick. No, I'm sorry. So, yeah, and stand by with that guy with the arraign that Officer Matthew posted, because I'm going to, so first go to the ADL. Now we're going to touch on the ADL, and it's number, you know what it is, right? We could do 2 or 3 shows on this, but bear with us. So now we're going to go to Jonathan Greenblatt. I think that's his name. The president or the founding chairman of the sitting acting president, I believe that's his title, of the Anti-Defamation League. Look up the word defamation, because he's the president or the of the ADL, and he actually on this show is actually defaming. He's from the Anti-Defamation League, and he's actually defaming, and confidently, without proof. And we're going to prove that he's a liar, and he's defaming. Okay, where he says black Hebrew Israelites, which by the way, the Canary mission says black Hebrew Israelites down the page, and they show Bishop Nathaniel. The first thing you see, all of it is linked together. Okay, play.
Defamation, the action of damaging the good reputation of someone.
Okay, the act of damaging the good reputation. IUIC is a good reputation of someone. Read on.
Slander, libel.
So slander and damaging the reputation of someone. Okay, now that's what defamation is. Now let's go back to ADL video and start the first 3 minutes, and we're going to jump to 9, and then we're going to jump to 13. I earmarked, time marked it for you.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlemagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
That's right, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League,
Jonathan Greenblatt.
Take a step back real quick. See, I have to correct myself. So he's not the president. He's the CEO of the ADL. Let me get my facts straight. Let me make sure I'm coming correct. He's the CEO of the ADL, acronym Anti-Defamation League. We're going to show you that the words of his organization, he breaks right live on this show, and this is listened to by millions of people. And many of them that listen to the Breakfast Club are black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Many of the audience, right? Watch this. Play on.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
How are you, man?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Yeah, blessed, black, and highly favored.
Doing pretty good.
There you go.
So let's start off. What is the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League?
Well,
what do you do?
What do I do? So the Anti-Defamation League, let's just step back. It's the oldest anti-hate organization in the United States. It was founded in 1913 after a Jewish man was lynched. He'd been falsely accused of a crime, wrongly convicted, and ultimately...
Quick, we did a show about that where we actually investigated the man that was falsely accused. And there's let me just say this. Research that for yourself. Don't just take what he says as being truth. There's more to the story about that Jewish man than meets the eye. We did a show on that where we investigated that, okay? Right. And he blamed the black. Go ahead, Officer Micah.
He raped a white woman, a girl, and then he blamed the brother who was the janitor for it.
And so just research it for yourself. Just don't take his side, don't take our side. Do some digging around to see if Jonathan Greensburg? Honestly, if he's telling the truth, right? I want to get his name right. Okay, play on.
Tore him from his jail, and they hung him from a tree. And while the corpse was still hanging from the rope, they all gathered around, the town did. They had a barbecue underneath the body. They took pictures, and they turned the photographs into postcards.
Sounds familiar.
I was going to say, like, lynchings happen to young black men and black women very frequently in the South. This was the first high-profile lynching of a Jewish man, and a bunch of Jews said, we got to do something about this. And so they founded an organization they called the Anti-Defamation League, and they wrote a mission statement that was pretty amazing, because 100 years ago, Jews did not have, economic resources
I want to point out the fact that right now he sounds smooth. He's comparing one, and you got to investigate that further, okay? One high-profile Jewish man, Caucasian, by the way, that got allegedly hung and things happened to him, and he's trying to make the emotional connection to the audience that they're just like and had the same struggle just like black people. But the audience is a little smaller than that. That's why he said many black men. He had to make the difference because Charlemagne almost starts to check him, but then Charlemagne has his handlers that he literally has to watch what he says. Play on.
They did not have much social capital, and the mission statement they wrote in 1913.
Now, real quick, and so I wish if we have the name of that on. So we have proof, and Deacon Isaac has done a pretty extensive show on it. Jewish people did have power in this country in the 1900s, the early 1900s, because they had capital, because they were slaveholders, and they had stock in the slave trade. They were financiers of slave ships, so they did have power. You know who didn't have power? Black Americans didn't have power in 1913. Okay, we were the ones that was suffering. Okay, watch some movies. Do a little bit of history.
Hey, Cat, we ain't have power in 2013. We still don't have power in 2023. If somebody goes around saying, I hate Negroes and niggers and I hate black people, what can we do about that? Nothing. We can't cancel them. There's no defamation league that we can call. We can't take down posts. We can't get people fired from their job. We just got to take what we get and let that be that. There was a young brother that got decapitated, body dismangled in Mississippi, and what could we do about it? Nothing. They got all the power in the world.
That's a heavy point. And guess what? That's why these curses are real to us. These curses are real. We are the Israelites. Alan Greensplat, Jonathan Greensplat, I'm going to get the name right, is Jewish. It's true. We are the Israelites. We are the ones on the receiving ends of God's curses because we broke the commandments. So we got to turn back to his laws, statutes, and commandments. And one of them is we're not going to slander people. Okay, and like he's about to do. Play on.
But the purpose is to, quote, stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment to all. Not stop the defamation of the Jewish people, then not stop the defamation of Jewish people and maybe stop it and justice and fair treatment to all. Which, you know, we all talk about intersectionality today.
Hold up. He just said fair treatment for all. But what he's about to do is lie and say the black Hebrew Israelites. That's not fair treatment for all. He's going against his mission statement. We're going to prove it. And we got proof that he's lying openly lying in front of millions of people. This man right here, okay, he needs to be held accountable. He needs to resign from being a CEO. He's defaming people and he's lying. That's the CEO of the ADL. This should be a public outcry. He should be removed from office. He should have to resign, make a public, and he should be fined for lying on a whole organization, a whole group of people labeled the black Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Play on.
The Jewish people and maybe stop it and justice and fair treatment to all. Which, you know,
remember he said justice and fair treatment for all. Now, I want you to jump to 9 minutes, please. 9 minutes. Was that the first 3 minutes, or was it? Just do a little bit more for the first 3 minutes, please.
Today, we think struggles are connected today, but 110 years ago, when the Jewish community was vulnerable and they were weak and they didn't have any kind of power.
Stop. Overly general. They had power. They had resources. They had power and resources. And again, check out Deacon Isaac, IUIC Dallas. He did a class on that. Research for yourself. Did Jewish people in the 1900s, 1910s, 1890s, did they have power? Research it for yourself. He's making a generalization and a broad sweeping that is not true. Now, black people in America, we did not have power. The Native Americans, they did not have power. They had boarding schools. They kill the Indian, keep the man. They did things to the 12 tribes of Israel. We had no power. Okay, play on.
Influence or anything. The idea that they would fight for themselves made sense. They would also fight for others. That was an audacious,
so hold up.
outrage.
The ADL is supposed to fight for others. So the ADL, Jonathan Greensplat is Jewish. He claims he's a Jewish man. The ADL's mission statement is to fight not for just Jewish people, but fight for others as well. Let's see if he's going to fight for the people that he calls the black Hebrew Israelites. Let's see what happens. Play on.
Aegis idea, but it has animated this organization for well over a century. So whether it's, you know, this organization made the country safer for its Jewish people and safer for black people, safer for LGBTQ people.
Stop. What he's about to do next is make things not safe for black people. What he's about to say by lying, by insinuating that black Hebrew Israelites did something with an act of violence by shooting BB guns at a Jewish father and son. Making the connection that black Hebrew Israelites are violent, that is a lie. That is a lie. We're going to prove it. Is it end of 3 minutes? Okay, let me know when it's 3 and then jump to 9.
For immigrants, you know, my predecessors filed amicus briefs in Brown v. Board of Education, put people on the buses for Freedom Summer, March with Dr. King, long before. I mean, today we talk about Dr. King. He's a hero, and we got a holiday. He was a rabble-rouser.
Oh, absolutely.
He was a risk-taker. And when ADL stood with him in the 1950s, like, it pushed a lot of people away, but we thought it was the right thing to do. And I'm blessed, like really, really blessed to stand on that legacy.
3 minutes?
Now,
let's go back to 1912, right? Because, you know, a Jewish man got lynched.
You know, after the Jews were expelled
Is this 9 minutes?
from Jerusalem by the Romans and like torn from their land, and they lived in diaspora as a small community in Europe, in the Middle East,
Well, hold on.
in parts of.
So he says that the Jewish community lived in diaspora, and they. So hold up. When you read about 70 A.D., we fled into Africa. Jewish people did not flee into Africa. That's a lie. What he's saying is not true. The diaspora that fled were the people that are in Detroit, Michigan, that are downtrodden, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The black and brown, the 12 tribes, we are those people that were in the diaspora. Okay, what he's saying is not true. Okay, play on, but I want to get to 9 minutes when you get a chance. We're here. Okay, now watch this.
Torn from their land, and they lived in diaspora as a small community in Europe, in the Middle East, in parts of Asia. And these Jews continued speaking Hebrew. They didn't assimilate into the mainstream population. They continued their own religion. They didn't adopt Christianity or Islam.
And that's talking about our forefathers. When you look at the maps of Africa, you got places like Levi cities and help me out, some of the map places where they have Bishop brought out the old maps. The Homie Jews. Those were our forefathers that were there. So how do Caucasians mix in with Africa and live on the African continent? How does that happen? No, that's just not. It's not true what he's saying. It's just not true. Play on.
They continued their own dietary rules. They didn't adopt what the mainstream did. Jews don't believe in conversion or proselytization, so they stayed small. They didn't really grow. So the upshot of that is when the church, like in Europe, needed someone to blame the Jews. When the kings needed someone to blame those Jews. When the caliphate needed someone to blame those Jews, because they were always there, they were always different, they were always living on the margins.
Quick. Now, what he's referring to is when our forefathers were kicked out of, when you read in the book of Acts. Remember, give me that. Real quick, give me the book of Acts. I know we're going far. Is it Acts? It just came to me. When he banished the Jews out of Italy. Let's see. It might be 17 or 18. I'm gonna prove what he's saying, and this is talking about our forefathers. Yes, 18, 1 and 2.
Yes, sir. The book of Acts, chapter 18 and verse 1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens.
Stop. I'm going to show you this. You might be listening for the first time. These were not his forefathers that were kicked out and blamed in Europe. Corinth is in Italy. These are our forefathers. Give me Acts 21, verse 37. Paul is saying Paul, right? It gives Paul's description because we understand our history. Okay, we examine these scriptures. This is how we know that we are the Israelites. Play.
The book of Acts, chapter 21, verse 37. And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto thee? Who said, Canst thou speak Greek? Art not thou that Egyptian?
Paul was confused by the chief captain as being black. The Egyptians of that time were black people. We have proof about Paul being black. And Paul was an Israelite, a Jew from Tarsus. Okay? Now, go back where we was at on that. It's getting late, I know. Stay with us. We're almost done.
Blame the Jews. When the kings needed someone to blame those Jews. When the caliphate needed someone to blame those Jews, because they were always there, they were always different, they were always living on the margins. So flash forward to today, anti-Semitism shows up in different ways, often like characterized by a series of myths or tropes. So for example, the Jews run Hollywood. Look, it is certainly true that there are a number of prominent Jewish people in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry.
Pause real quick. So there are actually statistics that prove it's the vast majority. Okay, and he can't even deny that. He says that it's true. Okay, now, all that being said, I wanted to create an understanding of him saying that the ADL stands up for all people, right? And that the Jews, when it's just blame the Jews. He's about to, in the next segment, do exactly what he just said that his forefathers had happened to them. Because there was an act of so-called violence on Jewish people, and he's saying the black Hebrew Israelites did it, showing that he's blaming the Jews. Us. Watch. Go to 13 minutes.
What, today's Monday? Tuesday.
Wednesday. It's going to air on Wednesday.
Sorry. So it is over this past weekend in Staten Island on Sunday, a Jewish man who he must have been Orthodox because you could identify that he was Jewish, and his son were shot by a young man.
Stop. I want you to rewind a little bit. And this is where Mr. Green's black, you can't get out of this one. It's on record. We got you in a lie, sir. You have to learn to fact check things. You have not learned as the CEO of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, you're about to defame somebody, lie on them, okay? Label a whole group of people off a lie, okay? Play.
Gun as they came out of
BB guns. I did see that, yeah.
And so when he was asked by the police,
Wait, no, you had to rewind.
They said it was.
I know. It's late. Just rewind it, please.
Sorry. So it is over this past weekend in Staten Island on Sunday, a Jewish man who he must have been Orthodox because you could identify that he was Jewish.
Stop real quick. So now he's making the claim, an Orthodox Jew. Like we showed an image of what would look like an Orthodox Jew on the thumbnail. They wear either a black hat or a yarmulke. They have these long curls that go down it, and they have the beard, which the Torah says they got to keep a beard. So that's what an Orthodox Jew. He's describing an Orthodox Jew, right? Look, and that's yes, I understand. One looks like he's squinting, and the other look. We're just showing you it's an animation. It's just showing you the same way that you show us, disproportionately. We're just showing you. If we're telling you that you're lying on us, we're not going to give you a picture of just giving a thumbs up. Okay, it's deceptive what you're doing. We showed a deceptive picture. How is that anti-Semitic? It's just truth. Now watch what he says. Play.
Were shot by a young man with a pellet gun as they came out of
BB guns. I did see that, yeah.
And so when he was asked by the police, they said it was a hate crime. He said,
"Stop." So number. He says he was shot by a young man. So if you're a CEO of an organization and you're going to go on nationally syndicated radio, and you're supposed to come with facts. He was from Trumbull, Connecticut, which is an affluent town. I lived in Bridgeport, which is about 5 miles away. That's a very affluent town, and he appears to be highly educated. I'm going to show you either this guy is very, very, very ignorant, or he is deliberately lying. Either way is very dangerous what he's doing in this position. So now he says they were shot by a young man, and now he's going to make the claim. Go ahead.
It'd be a hate crime if I'm a Hebrew. This is the kind of fiction that black Hebrew Israelites say that white Jews, quote unquote, aren't really Jews.
So then he goes on to say that how can I be a hate crime if I am a Hebrew? So now you automatically flip to think the next words out of his mouth, it must have been a black Hebrew Israelite that shot the Orthodox Jewish man, right? Watch what he says, right? Play on.
How could it be a hate crime if I'm a Hebrew? This is the kind of fiction that black Hebrew Israelites say that white Jews, quote unquote, aren't really Jews. So anti-Semitism can, if you will, show up as people thinking that white Jews aren't Jews. It can show up as white supremacists. It can show up as people saying, like Kanye, by the way.
Can we go on any IUIC TV, anything? They cut the stream. All right. So let's play on. Listen, it's just showing you if it's deliberately cutting this is very evil. Play.
Elon Musk off of Twitter last week. And Elon says because he put an image up of a Jewish Star of David with a swastika
now, so
in
I
it.
want to go back now. He associated the shooter of that Orthodox Jewish, and he didn't say the idea. He said, and then he flipped to black Hebrews. Now let's bring up that article with they have the man arraigned in court, and they show you who he is, and let's see if he's a black Hebrew Israelite.